The global economy stands at a crossroads, where the intricate web of international trade is increasingly influenced by geopolitical maneuvering. Among the most pressing developments is the emerging tension between the United States and its North American neighbors, Mexico and Canada, as well as with China. This evolving scenario has sparked debates over the potential onset of a North American trade war, raising critical questions about the future of global trade dynamics, economic stability, and geopolitical alliances. To understand the gravity of the current situation, we must delve into the historical context that has shaped North American trade relations. The United States, Mexico, and Canada have long been bound by intricate economic ties, formalized through agreements like the North American Free Trade Agreement, or NAFTA, established in 1994. NAFTA aimed to eliminate trade barriers and foster economic cooperation among the three nations, leading to significant increases in trade volume and cross-border investments. This trilateral partnership not only boosted economic growth, but also intertwined the economies to a degree where disruptions in one nation inevitably reverberate across the others. However, the economic landscape began to shift in the late 2000s and early 2010s as concerns over job losses, manufacturing decline, and trade imbalances became more pronounced in the United States. These issues provided fertile ground for political movements advocating for protectionist policies aimed at safeguarding American industries and reducing dependency on foreign imports. The election of President Donald Trump in 2016 marked a significant turn towards such protectionism, with trade policy becoming a central pillar of his administration's agenda. Under the Trump administration, the United States implemented a series of tariffs targeting key trading partners, including Mexico, Canada, and notably China. The rationale provided for these tariffs was multifaceted, citing national security concerns related to migration, fentanyl trafficking, and unfair trade practices. Specifically, a 25% tariff was imposed on imports from Mexico and Canada, while a 10% tariff targeted Chinese goods. These measures were intended to address perceived economic threats and renegotiate trade terms to favor American interests. The imposition of these tariffs marked a significant shift in North American trade relations. Mexico and Canada, through their respective trade institutes, responded robustly to these actions, signaling a willingness to retaliate and protect their own economic interests. This escalation raised alarms about the potential for a broader trade conflict that could destabilize not only the regional economy, but also have far-reaching effects on global trade patterns. China, already a focal point of trade tensions due to its rapid economic rise and strategic global ambitions, found itself entangled in this complex web of tariffs. The additional 10% tariff on Chinese imports further strained the already tense relationship between the two economic giants. Experts began to speculate whether China might leverage this trade conflict to assert its influence, capitalizing on the shifting dynamics to advance its own geopolitical agenda. The immediate economic impacts of these tariffs were multifaceted. For Mexico and Canada, key sectors such as automotive manufacturing, agriculture, and technology faced increased costs and uncertainty. Supply chains, which had been meticulously integrated across borders under NAFTA, were now subject to disruptions and the need for recalibration. American consumers and businesses also felt the pinch, as tariffs translated into higher prices for goods and increased costs for production inputs. Moreover, the tariffs prompted concerns about broader economic tensions that could spill over into other areas of international relations. Trade conflicts have a way of complicating diplomatic ties, making cooperation on global issues such as climate change, security, and public health more challenging. The interplay between economic sanctions and diplomatic relations creates a volatile environment where miscalculations can have significant repercussions. In response to the U.S. tariffs, Mexico, Canada, and China each adopted their own strategies to mitigate the impact and assert their economic resilience. Mexico, for instance, sought to diversify its trade partnerships, intensifying efforts to strengthen ties with other Latin American countries and the European Union. Canada, with its strong ties to both the United States and Europe, explored new trade agreements to offset potential losses. Meanwhile, China, leveraging its substantial economic clout, continued to expand its Belt and Road Initiative, seeking to cement its influence in Asia, Africa, and beyond. The involvement of esteemed institutions such as the Mexico Institute, Canada Institute, and Kissinger Institute underscores the gravity of the situation. Their collaborative efforts to host discussions and analyze the repercussions of these tariffs highlight the need for a nuanced understanding of both immediate and long-term effects. Experts from various fields, economics, political science, international relations, come together to dissect the complexities of this unfolding trade conflict, offering insights into possible avenues for resolution and the broader implications for global stability. Looking ahead, the potential for a sustained trade war between the United States, Mexico, Canada, and China poses significant risks. Retaliatory measures could escalate tensions further, leading to a tit-for-tat cycle of tariffs and trade restrictions that undermine economic growth and exacerbate political divides. The uncertainty surrounding future policy decisions adds another layer of risk, making it challenging for businesses and investors to make informed decisions. On a regional scale, the integrity of North American supply chains remains a critical concern. Disruptions caused by tariffs could lead to increased costs, delays, and inefficiencies, impacting industries from automotive to technology. Efforts to realign supply chains in response to new trade policies require time and investment, potentially slowing down the recovery from economic setbacks caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. Globally, the shift in trade dynamics could alter the balance of economic power. China, already a major player on the world stage, may find opportunities to strengthen alliances with other nations seeking alternatives to U.S. economic dominance. This realignment could foster new geopolitical blocs, reshaping international relations and creating a more multipolar world where power is more evenly distributed among several key players. Furthermore, the increasing use of tariffs and trade barriers reflects a broader trend towards economic nationalism, where countries prioritize their own interests over global cooperation. This shift challenges the principles of free trade and globalization that have underpinned international economic relations for decades. The rise of protectionism not only affects trade, but also has implications for global economic governance, potentially hampering efforts to address shared challenges such as climate change, pandemics, and cybersecurity threats. In the realm of technology and innovation, trade tensions can have a stifling effect. Collaborative research and development efforts often rely on the free flow of ideas and resources across borders. Tariffs and trade barriers can impede these collaborations, slowing the pace of technological advancements and reducing competitiveness on the global stage. Countries embroiled in trade conflicts may also face difficulties in securing access to critical technologies, further hindering their economic growth and strategic capabilities. The human element of this trade conflict cannot be overlooked. Workers in industries affected by tariffs may face job losses, reduced wages, and decreased job security. Small and medium-sized enterprises, which often operate on thinner margins, are particularly vulnerable to economic disruptions caused by increased costs and decreased demand. The social fabric of communities reliant on specific industries could be strained, leading to broader societal impacts beyond the economic sphere. As international trade becomes increasingly entangled with geopolitical strategy, the lines between economic policy and national security blur. Tariffs, once viewed primarily as tools for correcting trade imbalances, are now wielded as instruments of geopolitical leverage. This evolution of trade policy underscores the growing recognition that economic strength is inextricably linked to a nation's overall power and influence in the world. In response to these challenges, diplomatic efforts to de-escalate tensions and negotiate mutually beneficial trade agreements become paramount. Multilateral forums and bilateral negotiations provide platforms for dialogue and compromise, offering pathways to resolve trade disputes without resorting to protectionism. Building consensus on fair trade practices, intellectual property rights, and market access is essential to maintaining a stable and prosperous global economy. Moreover, the role of international institutions such as the World Trade Organization, WTO, is more critical than ever. These bodies serve as mediators in trade disputes, providing mechanisms for enforcing trade rules and resolving conflicts. Strengthening the WTO's capacity to address contemporary trade issues and ensuring its relevance in the face of changing global dynamics are essential for upholding the principles of free and fair trade. The potential for a North American trade war also raises questions about the future direction of regional economic integration. While NAFTA laid the groundwork for economic cooperation, the evolving political and economic landscape suggests that new forms of integration may be necessary to address contemporary challenges. This could involve more comprehensive agreements that encompass not only trade in goods and services, but also digital trade, environmental standards, and labor rights. In the broader context, the North American trade tensions reflect a shifting paradigm in global economic relations. The rise of emerging economies, the reassertion of national sovereignty, and the increasing importance of technology and innovation are redefining the rules of the game. Adapting to these changes requires a reevaluation of traditional trade policies and the development of new strategies that balance national interests with the benefits of global cooperation. Ultimately, the unfolding trade tensions between the United States, Mexico, Canada, and China serve as a microcosm of the broader challenges facing the global economy. Navigating this complex landscape demands a nuanced understanding of the interplay between economic policies and geopolitical strategies. It requires a commitment to dialogue, cooperation, and the pursuit of solutions that promote stability and prosperity for all parties involved. As we look to the future, the potential implications of a North American trade war extend far beyond the immediate economic impacts. They threaten to reshape alliances, disrupt supply chains, and alter the balance of power on the global stage. The decisions made by leaders and policymakers in the coming months and years will have lasting effects, determining whether the international community can move towards a more collaborative and equitable economic order or succumb to the divisive forces of protectionism and unilateralism. In conclusion, the specter of a North American trade war underscores the intricate connections between economics and geopolitics. It highlights the delicate balance required to maintain healthy trade relationships while safeguarding national interests and addressing legitimate security concerns. The path forward demands careful consideration, informed by historical context and guided by a commitment to fostering a stable and prosperous global economy. As experts continue to analyze the evolving situation, the world watches closely, recognizing that the outcomes will shape the economic and geopolitical landscape for years to come.